people are DCing. Maria Mosman from Nigeria, she did a stat where she just bought $1 a day for the whole year.
Yeah.
And she was up like 10 grand after that, like in profit. So it's
Yeah.
possible, you know?
Yeah, I saw that when she did that. I think she posted it on Twitter. You know what else is interesting? During the holiday, my cousin and I were driving to go meet family, and I orange pilled her in the car. I was like, look, get this. I was like, just do $10 a day. I said, it may not seem much right now. I said, but check me in 2 years. Check me in a year. You know, it's out of sight, out of mind. You're taking your $10. You spend $10 just going down the street, right? So I think that like what it has done is I've been able to orange pill more family members in the last 2 months than I have in the last 2 years. So I was just like, all right, I'll take this. Even though I know it's based upon the price, I'll still take it because they're not putting large amounts in. They're DCAing. They're being safe. They're not doing more than what they can afford to lose. Like we're doing all the safety protocols, but I just want people to be in it. You know what I mean? Because I saw somebody post the other day. He said, it's great, orange pill people. If orange pill as many people as you can. He said, but the sad part about this is when it is too late.
Welcome to the Bitcoin Source. I'm your host, Dawdu, and today we're bringing back a true powerhouse in the Bitcoin space. She's one half of the Jumpout girl and an absolute trailblazer for women in financial literacy. Tima Boyd. Tima, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Let's get into it.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. You know, I appreciate you bringing me back. I must have said something right in the last one.
You know, we like family at this point, so you're always welcome here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tima, you've always kept it real about your journey. And I have to ask, how has becoming a mom changed the way the Jumpout girls approach content? Has it shifted your focus or inspired new direction?
Even trying to do content creation has been a struggle. I'll be very honest. I didn't realize the demand of basically, because we homeschool our daughter. And, you know, obviously she's not in school yet, but at the same time, you know, we're educating her at this age. And the demand of just being present and then fixing time to do content creation has been a struggle. It's been a real struggle. Just trying to be consistent and just trying to make sure that we're still, you know, getting our faces out there, you know, just trying to figure out a schedule. I have to like literally say to myself, okay, this week I'm going to do 3 videos, right? And obviously with, you know, since I've had the baby, you know, Maine and I haven't been able to like get together and do like more in-person sessions. So it's just like I've been doing shorts and just trying to get videos out there, even though it is just a short. I'm like, anything is helpful at this time. You know what I mean? So I think that I was a little naive, you know, to what motherhood means in the sense of just time and commitment. And then also I didn't understand the commitment of really, she doesn't go to a daycare. She doesn't leave the house. So it's like just making sure that I'm present, but also like still doing this on the side, because even though you have a child or children, you still should have something that you're excited about outside of them, because you're always going to be excited about them. But it's like Bitcoin is like my other job. I think it just shifted my focus just on, I do now focus like on different things when it comes to Bitcoin. Like I'm more so concerned like about privacy and really just finding like no KYC Bitcoin and just kind of understanding wallets and stuff more. Obviously, when I first got into Bitcoin, you know, it was like, oh, the price, right? Like price. But then when you have a child and you understand like how much the security and just understanding what it means to hold a seed phrase and what it means to you're becoming your own bank, you know, privacy is important because I just don't want to be exposed to anything, you know. So the shift has focused just in terms of the stuff that I'm educating myself on, but it's still obviously all things Bitcoin.
100%. And in a rebuttal for that, Tima, like, you know, I've always been the biggest advocate for the Jumpout girls. And I've always told you and Charmaine that, like, what you guys were doing, and I mean, even those videos from back in the days, and it's kind of crazy to say back in the days because it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
But I mean, to this day, production, dress, articulation, nobody's messing with y'all. And it's like, I can't wait for you guys to finally get to a space, because I know Charmaine, she has boys, she got football practice. It's like
Yeah.
busy. I already know.
Yeah.
So it's like once you guys can get back in the studio and really just hopefully like can sit in one like 2 weeks session and just cook up like 5 episodes, I'll be
Right.
so happy to see, you guys together again in the studio.
Me too. Cause when I look back at some of our videos, and more so recently, I had a friend of ours cut up, edit some videos for us from like 2 years ago, literally. And I'm just like, man, this production is fire. Like, we look good. It was really humbling too. I'll say this. It was very humbling to go from that to like now, basically my phone or doing it on a live stream like this. But it doesn't mean that the content changes, right? It just means that your visual look changes, right? But the information stays the same. And that's like one thing that my brother told me. He was like, listen, don't worry about your background anymore. Don't worry about you don't have this production. Yes, it sucks. It does suck. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it sucks. But as long as you're getting the information out there, people are still going to watch. So I'm like, all right, okay.
Back in 2016, if you put $400 into gold, the classic safe haven. Fast forward to today, and that gold is only worth $830. But if you had chosen Bitcoin instead, that $400 would now be worth a staggering $45,000. In the world of digital gold, Bitcoin isn't just keeping pace, it's sprinting ahead. Don't miss out on the next big leap. Learn about Bitcoin, the future of finance. Tune into the Bitcoin Source for more conversations on how Bitcoin is reshaping our financial landscape. Are you ready for the revolution?
Are gravitating towards what you're kind of pushing out into the ecosystem, and I'm just super proud of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's you've been always our number one fan, and we're very appreciative of you, and the things that have come from that, just the different interviews and the different people who have asked us to speak to us, and they're like, oh yeah, Dawdu, and I'm like, there he is again. So we're ultimately always grateful for you, and grateful, for you being a part of this journey with us.
Let's talk about something serious. The UK recently passed a bill that allows the government to confiscate your Bitcoin and other crypto. What's your reaction to that? Do you think it's a sign of things to come for the US? Of course, Trump is in, but as we know, politicians just say things and then things change when they get in office. So what's your take on that?
So I think it's a slippery slope, right? I think when the UK passed this bill, and the bill was passed, like, it's not like it was, in legislative or, it's pending. It's very possible for it to happen here. Another reason why I'm so like pro on security and privacy now, just because, how are they tracing these accounts? How did they find these accounts? How did they know that this person had crypto or Bitcoin in their possession? Something had to trigger it, right? And it had been an ISP address. It could have been anything. But I think the main thing is while politicians do change when they say stuff just to get, elected, I think people still should be focusing on the fact that it's new. It's still new to the world. It's still new to, even the fact that we're even discussing politics and Bitcoin is very new, right? So it's like, you still have to protect yourself. So I think for me, my take is always focus on protecting yourself, because if you're relying on the government or you're relying on a politician to protect your Bitcoin or your crypto, then that's where you're epically failing, because Bitcoin was never about getting third party protection. It's it's self custody, right? So I think that my perception would be always think about it's just you out here and you can't rely on anybody else. So if they are coming for your crypto or Bitcoin, you better learn how to, hide it, no KYC, don't talk that, don't even discuss what is Bitcoin. I don't even know what that is. I'll make some comments like that sometimes on certain tweets from X, and I'm just like, what is Bitcoin? Like, because you just never know. Like, people talk a good game, and then when it comes down to like the wire, they'll rat you out just like that, and I mean, look at all these different situations with different guys who are in jail right now. Roger Ver, like, you have all these different scenarios where they're not attacking the Bitcoin itself. They're attacking things that, like, the taxes, the unrealized gains. Like, they're figuring out different loopholes of like, okay, this person has too much, or this person knows too much. Like, what other areas can we attack? Because it's not like you're going to attack the internet. They could shut it off, right? But you're going to figure out different loopholes. So you got to really protect yourself is ultimately the answer.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that is that I've done a lot of writing in the space, but the last like year or two I've kind of stopped because I'm laser focused on this podcast. Recently, I just dropped an article on LinkedIn talking about the change that I see for Black America, Latino America now that Bitcoin's at 100K. And I wanted to know, like, do you think that this is a wake up call for Bitcoiners in particular in these disenfranchised areas of the world or in the United States that are now seeing the importance of self custody and the right ways to protect themselves?
Yeah, I think it's like monumental. I think that no matter who you are, in particular to the Black and brown communities, like, you can't help but to notice it. Like, it's now, I wouldn't say it's 100% mainstream, but it's pretty much close, right? You have several news stations discussing it. The Financial Times, Wall Street Journal's done an article, so you have these bigger name sources that are discussing Bitcoin. And it's like, you can't, even to the point of a lot of times, which I hate about the community, is we gravitate towards athletes and entertainers as sources of, oh, we should be doing this. So, all right, go look at Odell Beckham. Go look at, I can't remember his first name, but Okun, the football player from whatever that team is, right? He was at the last conference. These guys are getting paid in Bitcoin. And it's like, when they did it, people laughed at them. People, ridiculed them. And then now look at them now. Now, granted, we're going to get another, just like it goes up, it goes down, right? So you're going to get those same naysayers again. However, you can't deny the adoption, right? So I think for people that are disenfranchised, it's like twofold. They see it and they know that it's something they need to get into, but then they see the price and then they're intimidated, right? Like, a lot of times I've been spending kind of like dual hatting my time between Twitter and Reddit. And I see so many questions on Reddit. Is it too late? Am I too late? And am I too late? And it's like, no, like, the numbers we're seeing now are minuscule into what we think it's going to be, right? We don't know. And also too, is like, don't focus on price. That's another thing I stopped doing, like, over these last couple years. Because I remember in 2022, or was it 2021, 2022, when we shot up to like 60 or 58. And Maine and I were on the phone at midnight, like, my gosh, this is crazy. What in the world? Now it's kind of like, all right, it's at 100K. It's great, but it's like, focus on the adoption and focus on the technology. And I think that for us in like the community, it's like, I wish that could be pushed more, but obviously the price is going to be pushed more. But then you can't get intimidated price and then not realize that you can still DCA, you can still stack sats, So I hope that it's more of what can we do to get it versus, oh, no, it costs too much or it's too high. It's hard to say. I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest.
For sure. And to even expound a little bit on that, Tima, like, I've run into that issue as well. And I've recently gotten into like mining, like just doing solo mining. And a lot of people are like, oh, you're only going to get like 72 sats a day or something like that. And I had to really clarify to people that I think 62% of the world is living under $10 a day as a wage. So if you're buying, let's say you're Black, you're in the hood, you ain't got no money, and you can only put in $10, you're still front running 62% of the globe.
Yes.
So it's like, you're not too late. Like, people don't realize that this is like an accumulation game. And the more that you understand this, you'll understand that every 4 years it halves, it cuts in half. So that $20 of Bitcoin is every 4 years is gonna be worth more, right?
Yep.
So it's like, I think that's the thing that we need to harp on in our community more, because everyone is quick for the instant gratification, or it's not cool or relevant until Meek Mill raps about it or Jay-Z says something about it.
Yes.
And it's like, while we're focused on that, people are DCing. Maria Mosman from Nigeria, she did a stat where she just bought $1 a day for the whole year.
Yeah.
And she was up like 10 grand after that, like in profit. So it's possible,
Yeah, I saw that when she did that. I think she posted it on Twitter. You know what else is interesting? During the holiday, my cousin and I were driving to go meet family, and I orange pilled her in the car. I was like, look, get this. I was like, just do $10 a day. I was like, I said, it may not seem much right now. I said, but check me in 2 years. Check me in a year. Like, it's out of sight, out of mind. You're taking your $10. You spend $10 just going down the street, right? So I think that like what it has done is I've been able to orange pill more family members in the last 2 months than I have in the last 2 years. So I was just like, all right, I'll take this. Even though I know it's based upon the price, I'll still take it because they're not putting large amounts in. They're DCAing, they're being safe. They're not doing more than what they can afford to lose. Like we're doing all the safety protocols, but I just want people to be in it. You know what I mean? Because I saw somebody post the other day. He said, it's great, orange pill people. If orange pill as many people as you can. He said, but the sad part about this is when it is too late, like, because it's going to get to a point where it's too late. I mean, hopefully we don't see it in our lifetime, where it's like, where it's completely hit the max and it's like, all right, it may go up a few dollars, like Berkshire, how, like, I don't know how much their stock is worth, but it's something crazy, right? Like to buy a whole share of that, you're talking about multi-million-dollar businesses and companies and people on that level are buying whole shares of that. That's the same thing I see that's going to happen with Bitcoin. The price is going to be way too much out of the scope of you. You're going to get like a small penny of it. You know what I mean? So I'm just happy that people are still interested and they're still asking questions. And I welcome the questions.
For sure. And last part on that, I think what's really important is that you talk a lot about inheritance, right? So like you said, it's going to come to a point where it's too late. But I think for people coming from our community, from our culture, the way that we have the ability to front run this kind of new digital revolution is going to be a little different because you have something like a BitKey where, God forbid something happens, you can have an inheritance plan put right into that cold storage wallet where it passes hands generationally. And if you look at the history of our country, a lot of the wealth that we accumulated, whether it was Black Wall Street, in Tulsa, those things were taken from us. Yes, Black people acquired a lot of massive wealth, but in 1 or 2 generations, it was taken back by other demographics. And I think that through the technology, through quantum computing, through encryption, we're going to have the ability now. Let's say we have the first 1 million Black people in the country grab as much Bitcoin as they can. They pass away. That's still locked into our community. And I think that that's the difference between this and real estate and these other things we're seeing now.
Yes, like you can't confiscate it, like unless you literally give out your C phrases, or you give away your keys. Like it's I don't want to use the word impossible, right? But it's damn near impossible. You know what I mean? Yeah, I really hope that I think also to more people that are kind of like social media content creators that were kind of not so much like against Bitcoin, but like not saying it's 100% Bitcoin are starting to really see that it's 100% Bitcoin, right? Like I tell people all the time because people do text me and ask me about other coins and other cryptocurrencies. And I'm just like, unless you're a day trader, and this is your, fundamentals of charts. You can look at ups and downs. You know how to read a chart, and this is what you're doing. You're not going to be able to follow it. I said, and I always go back to proof of work over proof of stake, right? I said, these are companies. This is somebody who owns this coin. Nobody owns Bitcoin, right? So you do come with higher prices. You do get the questions of, oh, what is this? What is that? And it's just like, you're not going to follow that. You're not going to be able to follow that enough. Just stick to this DCA, set your amount and let it be, like stack sats. Like, I don't know how else to say that, but of course you're going to get those questions.
100%. And, like, what about the people that are on the fence? Like, do you ever tell people that they should wait for correction or should they, like, what's the perfect time to get in?
Yeah. So that's a good question, just because if you're already asking the question to me, that means you do have some sort of interest in wanting to do something, right? So I feel like if you're already at the point where you really want to do something now, I always suggest to DCA, always, right? I never suggest someone to put a large amount in unless I know that this person can deal with risk, right? So like if you're more of the ups and downs of Bitcoin, the volatility of Bitcoin doesn't bother you, then okay, put in a large amount, just know that it's going to fluctuate, right? So I always tell people to DCA. I never tell people, hey, wait for a correction, wait for the price to drop, and honestly, like I say DCA. And if you do want to put a larger amount in, then wait for that correction, right? Just do your fixed amount now. And then we're going to get a pullback. We're getting pullbacks right now. We hit 100K and 2 days later, I think we hit 90 at one point. You know what I mean? So it's like, put in a large amount when it hits 90 or put a large amount when it hits 80, right? But I always advise DCA. Like, that's my favorite saying, DCA.
I agree. And there might be some vacillation with this question, Tima, but what's the safest way to store Bitcoin in your opinion? Are you a fan of cold wallets? And if so, which one do you think is the best?
I'm 100% fan of cold wallets. I actually was thinking about this today because my cousin and we were talking about the different wallets and like, my experience with different wallets. I think that like, people have used Trezor, they've used Ledger, they've used Cold Card, but for me now, I look at the best wallet as if it's open source and it has a focus on privacy, right? Like, I'm just really big on open source now. And if I can get my hands on it, like if I hope they're watching this, they'll watch this. The foundation community at the last conference, I met them and I follow a guy, Seth for Privacy. And that's kind of like he and another gentleman that are on Twitter, IEX. They've kind of opened my eyes. It's called the Watchman Privacy, the Watchman Privacy. They've opened my eyes to just what that truly means and what that truly means in the Bitcoin space, right? And how important it is to have open source items and what open source truly means. And, offline, having a cold wallet. Obviously, most cold wallets are offline, but it's just like truly offline, open source offline. I know that I don't have an issue with the other wallets. I've used them, but personally, I'm really trying to get my hands onto a Passport wallet. We were able to test it out when we were at the conference. Didn't buy one, but if I had to say, that would be the one, even though I haven't used it. And I say haven't used in the sense of I don't have it in my possession. I've used it obviously, and it's easy to use. It's not difficult, right? Because some wallets are kind of tricky. You know what I mean? Like, I like use case that is simple and easy. And us, we try to keep things very simple.
Yeah, for sure. Like Cold Card is a really good wallet.
Yeah,
But if you're not technical, like if you don't know how to use
exactly.
Stellar Wallet, you're gonna be all over the place. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I mentioned, Cold Card. Like, it's too technical for me. You know what I mean? Like, my cousin was like, "No, don't get that one." He was like, "I even struggle with it." I'm like, "All right, cool. I'll leave this one alone." Yeah.
Yeah. BitKey's doing some good stuff as far as the
Hmm.
ease of use. There's a little bit of people they don't really like it as much because of the way that they store the private keys. But I think that is on the right track for the next innovation of the wallet, where it's just super simple out of the package. It has like 5 steps, and literally you
Yeah.
have it set up. That's where
Yeah.
we're headed.
Big Key. Yeah. Actually, I think who just did a open box on Big Key? I think somebody just watched somebody do an open box on Big Key. So definitely, it's probably leading the way. I have to look into that one as well.
Yeah, for sure. And Tima, so if someone's like new to Bitcoin, how would you explain the difference between a hot wallet and a cold wallet? In your opinion, why do you think that self custody is more important than just having your money just sitting on Cash App, for example?
Yeah. So the best way I explain it, because I do get those questions, is, do you want your money to be sitting in a place where it's a possibility for the company to fold, to lose your Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, and you not access it due to, excessive use? Or do you want it where you can always access your Bitcoin? You can always access your funds. You don't have to ask for permission. There's never a delay with putting in your codes in the sense of when you open your cold wallet. And most people always say, obviously that, right? I say, but it also comes with like major responsibility, right? So I do, like sometimes I think also too what's kind of changed with me is I love a Bitcoin maxi. I love a Bitcoin maxi, right? But I think sometimes you have to be realistic of where people are, right? I would rather you much have Bitcoin and just be honest with me and say, I'm not going to be responsible enough to self custody. I'd rather you just say that. Okay, well, then you're going to take the risk of leaving it on this exchange. And that's the risk that you say to yourself. That's the responsibility. That's your prerogative, right? Just because a lot of times I see it on Reddit. I don't see it on X much, but I see it so many times on Reddit. Oh, I lost my seed phrase. Oh, I can't access this wallet. Can someone help me? And people do try to help them. Like a lot of times they use the Electrum wallet to try to like recover old wallets that are either out of date. I didn't even know there used to be a 16-bit seed phrase back in the day. I thought it was like 12 and 24, but I guess like pre my time, 2013, 2012, 2013, it was 16. And I was like, really? Oh, I'd rather you got to know where people are, right? I'm always going to recommend self custody. But if certain people is just like, no, just keep it on this exchange until we can teach you more and we can show you more about why it's better to not have it on that exchange. Just because, like, for example, Coinbase, right? I had a lady who I used to work with, and I was like, hey, where's your Bitcoin? She's like, oh, I still have it on my phone. Well, on Coinbase. I was like, oh my God. I was like, listen, I was like, all right, we're going to get you a cold wallet. I said, but I want you to go get your most trusted younger nephew or niece or cousin or whoever that you would trust, somebody who you trust this person so much that you even would put them in like your actual trust or will or something like that. She said, okay. And I was like, I need a third party there because I want, in case something happens to you or you get confused, this other person can guide you through it. And that's what we did because I knew for a fact she wouldn't be able to, not that she couldn't do it because, you know, our parents use cell phones and they use smartphones and babies use, well, mine doesn't, but like babies use smartphones and stuff like that. So it's not about not understanding how to use technology, but it's also like, you don't want to make that mistake 3 times or else it's gone. You know what I mean? Like, so it's better just, I feel like if the person can't self custody, it's nothing wrong with having another person there that they trust them with all their heart and soul and helping them, so that's how I would explain it. And that's what I would recommend.
Tima, your voice is so impactful in this space. The jump out girls, I think, in my opinion, are still continuing to grow. And that's the good thing about having a duo, right? Like, if one person kind of takes a break, you have another part of the entity that can continue to push that narrative. So,
Correct.
what's next for you? Are there any big projects or initiatives you're working on that you can share with us?
So right now, what we're working on is really talking to local businesses about accepting Bitcoin. And I think that really focusing on the local community, because it's a lot of local community owned restaurants and shops wherever you live. You think about just in your own community. And like now that the price is what it is, and there's been more media coverage and more people discussing it, and you have a president-elect talking about it and, various high power financial institutions like the traditional financial institutions, I think it's an easier conversation. So right now we're just adjusting our flyers and our kind of like our elevator pitch because it used to just be about like, hey, we'll orange pill you, which we'll still do. And we'll show you how to set up your wallet. We'll show you how to store your information. We'll talk about privacy. But now we're taking it to a different level where we're talking to businesses because I feel like most businesses, if not all, should be accepting Bitcoin. Like I was literally standing outside of what is it, like those check cashing places, and you just see those guys and women going in there, sending money off to different countries. And I'm just like, this is perfect. Granted, I wouldn't be able to go into the place because they're probably like, no, you're taking money away from us. But I would literally stand there and just hand out, listen, it's an easy way to send your family money and it's cheaper and it's faster and you don't have to pay all these fees. Right. Like, and I think now too, with like what's happening in El Salvador and other countries like Argentina, like it's not so bizarre to certain countries to accept and to understand what Bitcoin means, you know, and the use case for it.
I mean, I almost feel like there's going to be like the Jumpout Girls consulting coming real soon.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's kind of like how we look at it, just because you see a lot of people like, you know, you have companies like Unchained Capital that, you know, help store your Bitcoin. And if you want to do, you know, some type of storage with them and different, you know, the different traditional finance options that they have, or if you want to loan against it, and it's like they're just consulting, you know, we can consult too, just on a different level and just really help our local community and help our local people just, you know, orange pill and buy Bitcoin when, if, you know, as soon as possible and when they can now.
For sure, for sure. And last question for you, Tima. I
Hmm.
wanted to talk about something that you actually helped me with, which is the Fold card. And
Hmm.
you know, Will Reeves, the CEO of Fold, if you're watching this, please get in contact with Tima. I think that
Yes.
you and her would make a great partnership with the Jumpout
Yes.
Girls. But
Yeah.
what I wanted to talk about was kind of sharing this circular economy of like helping people gain free Satoshis, right? So
Hmm.
when you refer me, you get sats, I get
Hmm.
sats. And
Hmm.
my question to you is that how do you feel about Fold or companies like Fold that are really allowing people to just earn Satoshis from paying with their debit card, paying their bills, stuff like that?
I think that those type of companies are so great for the space, because I use Fold also to orange pill people who are not comfortable buying Bitcoin directly, right? I'm like, okay, cool. How about this? Instead of using your regular debit card, get this debit card. And every time you spend it, you're going to earn sats. And then on top of that, if you want to, hey, go buy a gift card. Everybody shops at Amazon. Who doesn't shop at Amazon, right? So I'm like, you can go buy a gift card, get this gift card. You're going to earn a percentage off of it. Plus, you're going to earn Satoshis, and everybody wins. So one of my really good friends, one of my childhood friends, actually, that's how I orange pilled her. I was like, she was like, listen, she's like, I don't understand Bitcoin yet. She's like, but I know what's important. What can I do? And I'm like, perfect. Go download this. Here's my referral. Boom, bam. And she got one. Or, you know, she texted me the other day saying, hey, it's about to come in. She got one for her son. So I think that companies like Fold, the Bitcoin company, I think I heard of one new one today called Coin Card. Coin Card, I think is what they're called. You know, when you have the ability to make it easy for people and you can orange pill people just by using a debit card, their version of a debit card, or buying gift cards that then turn into Satoshis for individuals. I think it's a win-win situation. You know what I mean? And then with Fold, you know, they've completely like, I mean, you can buy Bitcoin now. You can earn, you know, you can get your paycheck, half your paycheck or whatever you choose to delegate in Bitcoin. Like their features have just advanced to just accommodate the everyday person and making it simple. That's like music to my ears. You know, that's like my love language. Make it simple. And I think that they have made it super simple.
Yes. And even for the traditional investors, they're about to IPO. So you can invest
Yes.
in them on the regular stock markets next year
Yes.
too.
Yeah. Yep. It's like I think they're taking their little strategy from I don't think MSTR is on is they're not on they don't have a they're not on the stock market yet, correct? I don't think so.
MicroStrategy, yeah, they are.
Yeah, they are. Okay, yeah. So I think they're like taking a little playbook, you know, it's like, and here's another thing too, like it's nothing wrong with understanding and taking strategies from traditional markets, right? Like everybody's in here, most people I know want to make money, right? So it's like if you have to follow a traditional market in terms of a strategy for something that's a non-traditional entity, I don't see, like, I think that's smart to me. You know what I mean? Like it's a smart in terms of a business strategy.
And you know, before we wrap, Tima, let people know where they can find your content, Jump Out Girls, everything.
Yeah, so you can find us on all things Jump Out Girls. So on Instagram, we're Jump Out Girls. On Twitter, IEX, we're Jump Out Girls. On YouTube, we're Jump Out Girls. I think we're also on Facebook. I'm not really on there that much, but I think I have it linked to our Facebook. It's also Jump Out Girls.
Thank you, Tima. That's a wrap
Thank
for this
you.
episode of the Bitcoin Source. A huge thank you to Tima for sharing her insights and dropping so much knowledge. If you found value in today's conversation, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and always, as always, keep stacking those sats. Peace.